The story this time starts with a young pair, a man and a woman, who are named Ethan and Emma. Both of these individuals seem to be driving towards a secure location, a necessary action they had to take due to the extremely alarming conditions prevailing right now, due to a deadly virus that has begun to spread across the entire world. Well, just as they were discussing the method for reaching that particular destination, they unexpectedly ended up in an accident.
I can drive.
The scene then changes to where Ethan, who has just experienced an accident, seems to awaken, only to find that Emma has now vanished. Looking at the bandage that is wrapping his hand, Ethan attempts to search for Emma's location in an area that appears desolate, with not a single soul visible. During the search, Ethan suddenly meets a passing vehicle. At the moment he is explaining that he has no idea where he currently is, a man situated on top of the vehicle gets ready to fire shots in Ethan's direction. But luckily, several bursts of gunfire are heard coming from behind the building, which subsequently strike the armed man as well as his driver. After surviving, Ethan then meets the person who saved him, an elderly woman named May. At this point, May informs Ethan that he ought not to be in this location by himself. So, when May requested Ethan's assistance in relocating the remains of those two gentlemen, Ethan surprisingly lost consciousness and collapsed onto the floor. Long story short, Ethan, who had previously fainted, now wakes up in May's house. Feeling confused, Ethan then goes downstairs and meets May, who is in the kitchen. At this location, Ethan conveys that he retains no recollection of anything except for the fact that he was operating a vehicle alongside his girlfriend. At which time the pair were making plans to travel to a dwelling situated in an area secure from the calamity caused by the virus. As he narrated his recollections, Ethan was then startled upon observing a newspaper clipping that depicted the state of the planet. May clarifies that all of these events transpired over numerous years in the past. Scientists say this disaster was caused by nature trying to rebalance everything by eliminating humanity. Following the catastrophe, May harnessed solar power and made use of every single thing she could find to ensure her own survival. Sometime after that, Ethan, realizing May had gone outside, then attempted to inspect the vicinity. Once he was at the rear of the residence, Ethan was shocked to encounter a still living human skull completely draped in spiderwebs. May, upon seeing his reaction, calmly explained that it was merely Myrtle, a species of creature that poses no danger whatsoever. Despite the creature being harmless, May still recommended that Ethan keep his distance from it. Noticing that May was repairing the solar panel, Ethan then volunteered his assistance. Ethan managed to bring the power system, which had been down, back online. However, immediately upon completion, Ethan nearly collapsed once more. But luckily, May quickly brought him to his senses and then led Ethan to another location to inspect the animal traps she had installed. From there, May explained that various kinds of traps had been set up all around her house. Whether it is true or not, what is certain is that May revealed one trap she always carried, which was a gun with a trap installed right on its locking mechanism. Should the red locking mechanism be activated, anyone who uses and shoots that firearm will end up killing themselves. During the evening, after they had eaten dinner, Ethan mentioned that he needed to proceed on his journey to locate Nima. Upon hearing that, May clearly did not want to simply allow him to leave. May wished to detain Ethan for as long as she possibly could. Initially, she requested his assistance in producing electrical energy by pedaling a bicycle that had been specially modified. After enough energy was generated, Ethan, who intended to leave again, was then asked to dance with May. Ethan, who felt uncomfortable about the situation, then consented, although he himself felt quite uneasy while carrying it out. So, once that activity concluded, the pair proceeded to play cards, and each time Ethan attempted to depart, May consistently made an effort to prevent him from doing so. It wasn't until it was already late into the night that May finally stated she absolutely could not permit Ethan to leave the premises as it posed a significant danger, where May then promised to help him look for Emma the next day.
Good night.
However, while he was in the room, Ethan recalled the promise he made with Emma, which was an agreement for them both to visit a house situated near the lake. Ethan, paying no mind to May's warning, made the decision to take a vehicle by force and set off to locate that specific house. While traveling, Ethan experienced several memories involving his girlfriend, but within those recollections, he also witnessed himself holding a handgun, his hand covered in blood, and also the face of a man. After a short while, Ethan finally reached the location they had agreed upon. He then proceeded slowly toward that house, calling out Emma's name loudly. Since no one answered, Ethan was forced to break in. However, upon entering, Ethan discovered a woman named Jolyn, along with her son, Sam, who were concealed directly behind the sofa. Noticing the presence of an intruder, Jolyn immediately aimed a pistol at Ethan, but precisely at the moment they were confronting each other, something horrifying suddenly began to move toward them. Just as the being attempted to yank Jolyn's head away, Ethan swiftly snatched up the pistol that had fallen. But as he prepared to fire at the monster, Ethan realized to his dismay that the firearm was completely out of ammunition. Luckily, Ethan kept his composure, and he promptly seized a heavy hammer, striking the creature repeatedly until it finally collapsed. Once safe, several minutes passed, leaving Ethan utterly bewildered when he observed the very creature he had just struck somehow regaining consciousness and starting to move again. Well, while putting her child to sleep, Jolyn said that those creatures were the result of a virus disaster that had infected humans. When Jolyn inquired about his arm wrapped in bandages, Ethan proceeded to clarify that both he and his girlfriend had been involved in a serious accident, during which it was likely that Emma had carefully bandaged her fractured limb. However, it was strange because after hearing Ethan's entire account, Jolyn, who had resided there for several weeks, had never encountered a single person visiting their home. This situation only served to confuse Ethan further, as he felt the accident he suffered had only happened a few days prior. Next, since they couldn't go anywhere, the two of them decided to stay here. Amidst the pouring rain, Jolyn volunteered to keep watch, allowing Ethan time to rest so that he would be able to resume his investigation on the following day. After falling asleep, Ethan was plagued by numerous nightmares, each one concluding with a sound urging him to wake up at once. Bad luck struck when he awoke that morning. He discovered Jolyn dead, her body drenched in blood. In a state of panic, Ethan immediately fled that house. However, upon stepping outside, he witnessed a female figure attacking someone, who he then recognized as Sam, Jolyn's offspring, who had also succumbed to the zombie threat. Oddly enough, upon spotting Ethan, the female zombie made no move to attack. Instead, she appeared to attempt communication, though her language was unintelligible. And then eventually a single gunshot rang out, taking down the zombie female. It turned out that shot originated from May, who had coincidentally been searching for Ethan all along. In addition to taking down that zombie female, May also eliminated Sam, clarifying that both individuals had been infected and the gunfire was merely a tactic to stall for more time. While May was dealing with the bodies of Jolyn and her child, Ethan accidentally spotted a birdhouse with a symbol identical to the tattoo on Emma's body. When he examined that birdhouse, Ethan discovered a mobile phone inside which held a video recording made by Emma herself. The recording revealed that Emma had deliberately filmed it to clarify that following the accident, Ethan, who was suffering from total memory loss, had actually been taken in and looked after by Emma. But due to the extreme severity of Ethan's memory loss, Emma ultimately surrendered because she had no idea how much longer she personally could manage to endure.
I don't know if I can keep this up. The world isn't what it used to be. I guess what I'm saying is, people are changing.
No! Following that, May requested that Ethan accompany her. Ethan, who had no suspicion whatsoever, subsequently gave his consent. Upon arriving at the vehicle, it was discovered that Ethan apparently could not remember anything. In fact, he also did not recognize May. So Ethan reintroduced himself, explaining that he was looking for his girlfriend's whereabouts. May, already aware of the situation, then asked Ethan to return home using a bicycle. This entire course of action was forced because May's vehicle broke down during the search for Ethan.
Back of the bike. Put your feet up.
After cycling for several kilometers, they decided to walk. As they walked amidst the beings currently in the process of mutation, Ethan attempted some light conversation by inquiring of May whether she had taken a husband. May, upon hearing this, only said that her husband had died a long time ago, and she had been living alone amidst the destruction of this world ever since. A short while later, the pair reached a petrol station, which was the very same one that often surfaced within his recurring bad dreams. In that particular dream of his, Ethan and Emma had made a stop at that very gas station just a couple of hours prior to the tragic accident taking place. Ethan, with the intention of searching for provisions, exited the vehicle while holding a pistol.
However, unexpectedly, a zombie emerged and attempted to assault Emma. Ethan, upon witnessing the attack, swiftly fired his weapon, hitting the zombie precisely in its head. However, at the very moment Ethan was embracing Emma, the previously shot zombie revived unnoticed, subsequently sinking its teeth into Ethan's arm. After Ethan finally regained consciousness from fainting, they resumed their journey home. Upon their arrival, May immediately became suspicious that someone had broken into her house. Upon inspection, they discovered a man named Tom, who was searching for his wife who had disappeared. Fearing the person might be lying, May then asked Ethan to check if he was hiding a weapon. Since she found nothing suspicious, May then offered Tom some food. However, there was a single condition. He had to agree to help her cut firewood together with Ethan. To make a long story short, while May was busy preparing the meal, Tom, who was working, decided he needed to relieve himself. It was then that Tom retrieved a pistol he had concealed behind the vehicle. From there, May then invited both of them to enjoy the meal that was already available. During the meal, Tom recounted and showed a picture of his missing wife, whom they had been exploring the area with 10 days prior. While listening to Tom telling his story, Ethan immediately began to feel a severe headache and subsequently fainted. Seizing that precise moment, Tom swiftly aimed his firearm directly at May and proceeded to confiscate her weapon. At this point, May, having already completed the upload, then disclosed the fact that she had secretly introduced a powerful sedative into the meal, which is why Tom is now beginning to experience its full impact.
I think you're sleepy.
Yeah, what's that?
At nighttime, Ethan, having just awakened, discovered two armed individuals entering the residence, and they swiftly proceeded to hold May captive. The two of them are called Fox and Wolf, and it turns out they are friends of Tom who have arrived to search for him. When Tom came to, he decided to look for his girlfriend who was missing in this house. During his search, Tom, with Ethan by his side, attempted to persuade Ethan that May was actually a malicious figure. Tom is convinced that May has committed an act against not only his spouse, but also against Emma. As they searched for proof, Ethan, unconvinced by Tom's statements, unexpectedly discovered Emma's necklace inside the bedroom area. More than just that, among the numerous belongings discovered, Tom ultimately learned that May had truly laid eyes on his wife, as Tom located his wife's necklace there. In this place, May finally clarified that the person known as Emma had actually passed away a long time ago. Nevertheless, she was not the individual who was ultimately accountable for her demise. As he was hearing the response coming from May, Tom then instructed his associate, Fox, to summon Wolf, who was coincidentally conducting an inspection within the storage facility section. In that warehouse area, Wolf managed to get inside and discover something that subsequently shocked him. That is, Wolf saw that the warehouse had apparently been converted into some kind of hospital. Within the confines of that place, he recognized the person resting upon the medical cot as one of his companions who had also vanished without a trace. Regrettably, Wolf, while attempting to relay what he had found, inadvertently activated a hidden snare, resulting in the immediate death of both himself and Fox, who had just arrived on the scene. Tom, who realized that both of his friends had been killed, then made the decision to eliminate May. However, sadly, he was unaware that the pistol he was gripping was actually May's weapon that had been specially modified.
With Tom's hands already completely destroyed, Ethan unexpectedly recalled exactly what had transpired with Jolin, where it was ultimately revealed that Ethan himself was the one who had brutally killed Jolin on that very night. After regaining consciousness, Ethan immediately attacked and devoured Tom while he was still alive, an act he committed directly in front of May, who remained completely shocked by the scene. The next day, Ethan woke up with no memory again. Nevertheless, even with his condition, Ethan seemed quite composed and even agreed to accompany May on a hunting trip. Throughout the trip, Ethan once again recovered fragments of his memory, specifically the time he was with Emma, desperately seeking assistance following the accident. At that time, the two arrived at a house belonging to May, which was occupied by a man named Kay, who always appeared in Ethan's memories. In addition to Kay, this residence was also home to a young girl named Caroline, who happens to be Kay's daughter. Well, because no infection was detected in the bodies of Ethan and Emma, both of them were ultimately permitted to go inside. As soon as they were inside, they began conversing, and it was revealed that Carl Locke was an extremely religious gentleman. In his view, he refused to trust the theory concerning the virus being the reason nature was taking back what was rightfully its own. But it seems he placed more faith in the idea that all of this occurring was merely signs indicating the presence of the Creator.
From that point, the scene cut back to the moment Ethan regained consciousness and was now outside preparing to go on the hunt. It was here that he unintentionally realized the heart symbol on his dressing was no longer light pink but had actually turned green, signifying that somebody deliberately created it for him, and the individual Ethan suspected turned out to be none other than May herself. Because the truth was out, May finally had to explain that Ethan had actually been infected with a plant virus. That entire incident occurred at the moment he was bitten while he was at the gas station. However, what truly shocked Emma was the moment the zombie consumed the flesh from Ethan's arm, which immediately caused the zombie to regain its senses. Therefore, from that point on, Emma was convinced that by feeding Ethan, the mutation process turning him into a plant would temporarily halt automatically. This explains why the female zombie figure who was eating Jolin's son's body appeared as if she was trying to communicate. Ever since then, Emma has consistently cared for Ethan, ensuring his body doesn't mutate by providing him with sustenance. However, the consequence is that every time that process is stopped, Ethan will automatically lose his consciousness. It is uncertain how many times Ethan had to endure that process before they eventually reached the house owned by Kay and her family. It was then revealed during the shared meal that the woman married to Kay was actually not May, but rather a different woman whose name was Sarah. Regrettably, just as the communal dining was about to commence, Ethan's physical form suddenly mutated, compelling him to attack and feed upon both Sarah and Caroline, who were attempting to render aid to him. Kay also struggled to stop Emma, and in the middle of their confrontation, Kay was shot after Emma successfully retrieved the firearm that Kay had let fall. Since then, Emma promised she would never abandon Ethan throughout her life, making sure to feed him, even with still fresh human meat. The storage room at his house was subsequently utilized as an area to hold several of the victims who remained alive but were in a comatose condition. This way, the meat from those victims could eventually be provided to Ethan. Every time that process occurred, Ethan did not experience aging, while Emma's age slowly began to increase. Consequently, when Ethan failed to recognize his own identity, Emma proceeded to create a farewell video, conceal the tattoo on her body, and subsequently adopt the name May. Realizing that Ethan's instincts could not be stopped, May then decided to end everything in a different way. In this place, May desired for Ethan to perceive her as the woman he adored, achieved by unconditionally offering herself up, allowing them both to finally be together again, but this time existing as creatures who were both infected. That was the plot summary of the movie Die Alone, which was released in the year 2024. Hopefully, you were entertained by our story this time. Once again, thank you very much to everyone who watched, and we will see you again on the next occasion. Bye!